keep your bolster in close reach. I'll have it on my left side just so it's easy already where I need it to be in a little while. And then start to make your way all the way down onto your back. And you get your spine all the way flat on the ground. Make sure the shoulder blade, the spine, make sure all sorts of things feel good. Sometimes I'll specifically tuck my shoulder blades together a little bit. That helps my chest feel like I'm breathing a little bit more easily. Good. So let a couple of really deep cycles of breath flow. Breathing as if we haven't really breathed all day. And now is the time. So in our class today, we imagine that our body is a big circuit board, random parts that are trying to get connected, because when they connect, things function better. So if you've ever seen a map of the meridians, think of something like that, but a circuit board on our body. And sometimes the meridians don't connect as you think that they should, like the liver meridian ends at the eyes. You wouldn't think livers and eyes are connected until you get jaundice, and that's how you can tell how the liver is doing, through looking at the eyes. So there's different connections like that they figured out in ancient China, and sometimes it's even just like a deeper level. So imagine kind of the circuit board of the nervous system, or just even imagining a map of the meridians or the nadis, the channels of ancient India. Imagining them, even if you've never actually seen a map like that before. Imagine your body's huge circuit boards going on. And when circuits don't connect correctly, like the channel is clogged or maybe burnt out, the whole thing doesn't work right. If we were to try to connect something to that circuit board, it wouldn't give us the output that we're hoping for. So our goal in this class is to breathe, to stretch, and to help these circuits connect through movement, through breath, through stretching, through relaxing. So by the end of class, hopefully our circuit board is a little bit more complete, feeling a little bit better. So that'll be the idea that leads us into class. So with that idea, to help head us on, let's begin leaving the left leg just resting very grounded on the earth. And then the right knee will start to make its way in toward the chest. So notice if you immediately try to pull that right knee in nice and deep, it kind of lets the left knee lift off the ground. So we're trying not to get quite that far. Left leg is still very connected to earth. And then instead do a slow invitation of right knee in toward right shoulder. Imagine any of the circuits traveling through this section. Imagine it's like we're doing a little medical move to help improve the circuits right in this hip flexor area. So by now we've got about as deep as it's going to go for this particular point. So once we're there, let's take another huge inhale. Exhale. And then using the hands back the knee just a little bit further away. From here, take that right knee, try to aim the knee closer to the left shoulder. It won't go nearly as far as it was going to right shoulder, but you can start to feel the outer part of that right hip become a little bit more alive. It's like we've plugged into a new part of the circuitry. So send some good, easy breaths through that. Good, and backing away from this point. Now start to swing that right knee as wide to the right as we can get it. It's like it's trying to aim for that right bicep area or even right elbow. Pull it super wide. And see if you can feel yourself getting a little bit more into the inner thigh parts of the circuit. Good, and release from that point. When the knee is back over our body, let the right arm open out to the right side on the floor. The left hand takes over this right knee. And we're going to start off just by tilting this right knee to about a 45-degree angle, crossing over the body. It's the point where the hip is just starting to lift off the ground. We're breathing right into that outer thigh area. Imagine your breath heals circuits. You can either stay floating at that 45-degree angle, or at this point, continue to let that knee drop all the way down onto the bolster. Make sure it's set up comfortably so that you can just kind of rest in that spot. Take one more huge inhale. Exhale. And this right leg starts to return down. Let it release all the way to the ground. And just feel the circuitry on this right leg communicating to you differently than the left half of your body, perhaps. So another deep breath right here, Shavasana-like position. And if you ended up using the bolster on the left, we'll start to flip the bolster now over to the right side. When it's there, left knee starts to come into the chest. Clasp hands around the knee. You do the slow journey, trying to take left knee to left shoulder without letting the right leg start to lift off the ground. About as deep as it'll go. So take 2 more really slow breaths right here. Backing out of the stretch just a little bit. Start to aim left knee toward right shoulder, even though it only goes an inch or 2. Just give it that little bit of action. Just a slight pulling in. Imagine you can feel the circuitry lighting up the area surrounding the left hip. And backing off, start to aim the knee super wide toward left elbow, left bicep. Another breath for this spot. And lifting the knee up above the chest, the right hand takes over the knee. We'll start to tilt the knee to the right. That angle where the hip is just starting to lift off the ground. Pause right there. Perhaps left arm continues to reach out to left. And continue to let the knee tilt to the bolster if you liked that version. Making sure the bolster is high enough or low enough that it's comfortable for your system. Take 2 more slow breaths for this spot. We slowly return back down like a Shavasana pose. Give our body a couple of breaths. can feel now how that left side has been a little bit more activated. Good. So from here, let yourself take a fetal position. You're going to point in to the center of the room. So depending on which side it is, it might be left for you, it might be right for you. So just roll over to a fetal position, pointing into the center. And then find your hands pressing into the ground. Locate your bolster, and we're going to press up high enough that we can place the bolster under that armpit, that lower arm. So whatever that arm was, just let it rest to the ground and let your ear drop all the way down over your shoulder on that side. And then whatever arm is your top arm, that hand, you're going to bend at the elbow and take the hand kind of to the ground where the waist is. So my fingers are long enough to be able to touch the floor. It's okay if that's not quite where you're at with your shoulder, that's okay. But by the ear dropping down and then by that shoulder rotating open, it gives a little bit of space through the neck and shoulder area to ease some of the tension. So if you're not getting it quite in your correct spot, readjust how your head is tilted. Maybe the nose needs to go down a little bit more or up a little bit more. Maybe the fingers need to tuck in even more or less. Just find it in a spot where you're feeling your neck, shoulder area open. Two more breaths for this half. And unwind the shoulder. Softly help the head lift up. We'll flip around to the other direction. On the other hip, your armpit supported. Your ear begins to melt down to the shoulder. And that top arm sets to tuck the hand right behind the middle back area. Up the floor. Another breath. Two, blow through the sun. You're ready, unwind the shoulder, softly lift the head up. Lock the bolster back down. And make sure there's enough space past the bolster that you can have yourself arched up at the heart. You're trying to scoot it such that the armpits would be past the end of the bolster. Make sure head is still comfortable. So if you need to go even further than that to be more comfortable for neck, that's okay. But essentially we've got kind of middle, torso, belly, those types of areas arched up nice and deep. Imagine there's some circuits maybe that have been closed off by poor posture. Imagine breathing life back into those circuits for a few rounds of breath. Two more deep cycles of breath flowing through our system. You finish that second round, we'll come up off the bolster. You can either roll to the side or lift the head up, start to scoot your elbows underneath you, and then press your way up to sit. Once we're there, we'll lift our hips right up onto the bolster and up to sit on it. Good. So feet, for me, it's almost as wide as the bolster. If you need to make it easier though, scooting the feet further forward would be your option. Whatever spot that you choose, elbows come to the insides of the knees. As hands travel down a little bit, it helps to push the hips more open. And I personally love to let the forehead drop down, resting the third eye area on the middle finger. This allows space for the back of the neck to stretch. At any point the head wants to float back up, that's fine. Or if you want to work through the sides of the neck, you can start to rock the right ear toward the right shoulder. And slowly take a half circle to eventually work left ear over left shoulder. Good, easing back down. Head can lift up. Then from here, we need to switch the bolster, the orientation to be long ways behind us. So this will end up being a quad stretch. If quads are pretty tight, get back up onto the bolster once you're there. You'll let the left leg go long, the right leg tucks back. And then you'll just work your hands to plant behind you. Just making sure the neck is comfortable, leaning back until you feel the quad stretch. If you get to this point and you really don't feel anything, then you might need to go a bit deeper, which is scooting forward off of the bolster and then laying all the way back onto the bolster. So it's up to you how deep you take it. But set yourself up where the head is comfortable, the quad is stretching. We could comfortably maintain it for several easy rounds of breath. quad is getting to that point where it doesn't really feel the stretch anymore, scoop your tailbone under and up. That tiny little tuck of the tailbone brings that quad right into the stretch. So that's where we'll maintain it. Another 5 rounds of breath. Some of us might be taking those 5 rounds slower, some of us quicker. So when we finish our 5th cycle, let's slowly reverse every step we did to get into this. The right knee is going to swivel all the way open the other way. So from here, it's your choice. If you're sitting on the bolster and not comfortable, just continue to sit on the bolster, stretch forward over that left leg. If instead you prefer to swing the bolster around in front of you and rest down onto the bolster, that's another option. But to get into that left hamstring area. A good breath flowing in, out. Easing our way up. Let's take it toward second side with the quad. So right leg is going to start straightening. Left leg tucks back. If you're on bolster, great. If you're off bolster, great. It just depends on your body. Start to find yourself tilting back to the spot that feels good. Maybe on hands. If you're past bolster, maybe laying onto bolster. Find that spot that's good and comfortable. And make sure, even in this first moment, you do feel something. So if you're not there at all, scoop tailbone up. You realize maybe you're in that deeper spot, the quads are relaxed. You want to enliven the circuits a little bit more. Maybe that tailbone scoop goes even more. At that spot of taking those last 5 breaths, let's see if we can make those breaths a little slower than normal. You finish that 5th one. Slowly reverse every step, making sure head and spine are supported. Untuck the left leg, swiveling the knee open. Stay sitting on the bolster. You can swing the bolster around in front. It's all personal preference. But take that slow journey forward now over that right leg. Imagine the circuitry here. See how it's lighting up your mind's eye. Almost like a sigh of relief. Then one more breath flow through our body. Easing back up. Take the left leg back in front of you. And take this next one with me step by step. So we're starting off with the bolster back behind us. The left leg stays forward, but we're gonna rock our weight onto the right hip. So we're facing toward front door. The left foot just stays. From here, right foot, so it's the bottom one, starts to straighten out to the space in front of us. Some of us might be able to go all the way up to 90-degree angle. Some of us not quite. And some of us might be higher than 90 degrees. So it's up to your body. Wherever you end up, we're starting to twist toward the back of the mat. Maybe you end up just resting elbows on the bolster, or maybe one elbow is on each side of the bolster to rest down. So the idea here is we have weight on our IT band at the same time that we're stretching the IT band. Only for those whose IT bands still want more, you're still not as deep as you want to be, you have one more option you could take. Instead of keeping bolster under your sternum, you could scoot the bolster to prop up your right foot a little bit higher. So that's another option. If you wanted, that would get the IT band even more, that stretch. You don't have to take it. There if you want. Taking that one, you might just be on one elbow, that's okay. Take 3 more good breaths through this half. Whenever we reach that third breath, let both knees bend. We'll come up to elbows, facing back to the front of the room. Let your legs have a few windshield wipers. Right and left. Good. So we'll start to set up the second side. With this one, the right one's the one that stays right to that spot in front of us. We rock our weight onto that left hip. And then that left leg starts to straighten out. Some of us higher than 90 degrees, some of us at 90 degrees, some of us lower. You used bolster before to prop up the foot. Maybe you already set it up there. If not, maybe we're either resting elbows on the bolster, or maybe we're resting elbows beside it to lower sternum. Find the spot where IT band is being massaged and stretched. Make sure it's still comfortable for knees. If not, readjust. It's always our rule. Knees don't need any more pressure than they get already. More breaths here. And bend the knees. Come back up to sit, facing forward. Do a few easy windshield leg works. So from here, legs can be straight or cross-legged, whatever's nice. We'll start to take the fingers onto the ground behind us, pointing the fingers to the body. And the idea is just walk the hands backwards until your wrists are in an okay stretch. Bent elbows would make it easier if it starts to get intense. Keeping the elbows straight keeps that wrist stretched a little bit deeper. So we won't stay too long. Try to aim for about 5 more breaths. Easing back up and in. Let your hands roll out. Clasp your hands together. Bring your arms out in front of you, but then pull the left hand in. So what that does is bring the back side of the right wrist into the stretch. Good. Ease out of that half, and then pull in the other wrist. Good. Easing out, let the wrists roll or shake if that feels nice. Good. Based on how the hips feel, you could come back up to sit on the bolster or not. It's up to you, but we're gonna give the right leg a couple of cradles. Rock it out maybe 3 or 4 good times, easing that hip. That hip feels pretty good. We're gonna drop it down. So tightest hips, we might look like cross-legged. So at that point, it might be ideal to sit up on bolster. If you can go for shin stack, that's our next step. If this is also easy, hips are doing just fine, and you want a little bit more, you can take the bolster and give it kind of like a third layer to make the shin stack even higher. So not everybody will be here. It's okay. Don't feel like you're forcing anything, but it's a spot where you don't need hands. It's pretty easy. So here we'll start with a shoulder stretch. Take a moment to open the arms and take the right arm across the body, pull it in. Huge inhale to both, open both. Exhale, left arm across. Huge inhale to open. And exhale, bring hands to bolster or floor and ease your way just a little bit deeper forward. start to ease off of this half. We'll begin to work our right leg to the ground. If the knee needs a couple of wiggles, just let that right leg swivel in and out a couple of times. And when it feels ready to just relax underneath, let it settle down. We're cradling out left. Just give it some rocks. And then choose our option, cross leg, shin stack, or maybe bolster stack. Sure it's still possible to sit nice and easy. So when we get there, open both arms. And let left arm cross over the body, give it a hug in. Inhale, open. Exhale, right arm. Inhale, open. And then easing down and forward. Just release into the hip. Imagine all these circuits that we've worked on through class. Circuits in the hips, the spine, the heart, the shoulders, the quads, hamstrings, neck. Kind of imagine using these breaths that are flowing right now. Imagine it's helping to boost this part of the circuit, but also realizing everything's connected. So other parts as well. Three more breaths right here. As we finish that third breath, arise. The left leg needs just a little bit of attention. Bring some motion back to it. Good. And we'll start choosing what we want our Shavasana to be today. Some options are perhaps take the bolster behind your back so that you can have a heart opener. It's nice and long. Another option, if we tend to have low back pains, maybe we take the bolster under our knees. That'll prop the knees up comfortably. Or perhaps use the bolster in other ways, use the wall. Just find your body in a very comfortable spot. Take a moment to explore, to kind of find what that's going to look like today. Before we're completely in our Shavasana, we're going to rub our hands together, creating a little energy, a little warmth. And when you feel that warmth, choose a spot to place your hands over. So maybe this is a weak spot of our circuit, or maybe it's the motherboard and we want to feed it more energy. So choose a spot. The hands can touch or hover. But give it at least a couple of breaths to imagine the hands are supercharging that part of our circuit. If this is an easy spot, perhaps you maintain this the whole Shavasana, or perhaps some of us drop away sooner or later. Either way, let the breath start to flow easy and peacefully. Here we begin to deepen our inhales, Our exhales. Introduce little movements back to fingers and toes. Ankles and wrists. Stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. Eventually taking a nice fetal position off to one side. Well, maybe 2 or 3 more breaths to flow through your body until you feel ready to rise up to a comfortable seated place. When we're up, our hands join together in front of the heart. In our mind's eye, we imagine scanning through, seeing the circuits. Maybe things are much more connected, much more energized than they were when we first began. And so as we head on, we continue to listen to the intuitive guidance within to help us know how to maintain this circuit system. Some days we need to slow down. Other days we need to speed up and exercise, get our heart going. So listen to that intuitive guidance at any moment to know what would be in the best regard to boost up and to strengthen and energize the system, keeping it healthy and strong. So with this idea to lead us on, let's wrap up the time we got to share together today with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.